Hello, race fans. Welcome to another episode of Short Track Guys podcast brought to you by ShortTrackExclusives.com. I'm your host, Thomas Battis, alongside two other short track guys in the studio, Jim Pokrant, driver of the 07 CanQuitFishing.com sportsman, and 2021 sportsman champion here locally at Fire Flag Speedway in Pensacola, Florida, and Ted Baber Video Productions, also locally here in the South at the Short Tracks Five Flag Speedway in Pensacola, Florida. What's up, guys?
You got it.
Good evening.
Yeah, it's another episode, and we're going to kind of go over some of the recaps, but we don't really have much recap from last week. We're going to touch on some of that, but we're going to got some races that are coming up this weekend. We're going to touch on just a little bit, but I want to get to the sportsman races coming up here on the 13th of May, I think, with the Alan Turner Pro Late Model race number 1, and see what's going on with that Jim Pokrant stable.
Well, just kind of moved it over to Ben Cranford's shop. We got it on the lift. We're going over some stuff. Couple little changes. I'm not going to elaborate on what we're doing. Nothing illegal, just some stuff to make the car faster and better. Just keeping up with the Joneses because we know some people that are cheating. So,
darn Joneses anyway.
Yeah, the Joneses, I swear. Just doing some little bit here and there and helping Ben Cranford get his ready for next Friday night. He'll be running with the Modifieds of Mayhem, which is coming up shortly. Quick shout out to Brandon Fowler. He lost his mom Monday. Oh, yes. Just wanted to let them know he's part of the short track family. He's part of the racing family, and we wanted to know we're thinking about him. I've been through the loss of my mother, and it's not a good feeling, but I pray for him. And Philip Griffin, also, who's a local racer in Mobile, he lost his dad this past week. So just thoughts and prayers to the families. Just want to let them know we're thinking about you. Like I said, I've lost both my parents. It's tough, but, it happens. But just want to know we're thinking about them.
That's right.
Yeah, it just shows you that it's racing. It's a family. It
is.
Hey, you're competitors in one aspect, but when it comes down to it, it's life and it's family, and so.
Well, I also said that I've also have my regular family, and then I have my racing family.
Right.
I've got tons of good friends through. You guys are part of it. We've all been friends for a long, long time. We've known each other. We've raced against one another. We've just been around the sport. And that's one of the things that I love about our sport is how it brings people together as friends. You can be enemies one day and the next day shake hands, and you might need a rotor that I've got. And I'd be like, hey, man, it's in my trailer, grab it and use it. It's just things like that make it a great sport.
This particular crew is kind of the dysfunctional family, but,
Yeah, we're kind of like, the misfits, but that's okay. And we.
Speaking of that, do you think that may be a level in the sport that would stop that camaraderie between competitors and letting, is it just strictly grassroots stuff? But when you get to a certain level, does it just kind of like go away and say, okay, you're on your own, don't talk to me, I won't help you at all?
I think it's more grassroots racing that does it, because I think once you get to Cup and trucks and Xfinity, you've got so many parts that you custom build and do things like that you just don't loan anybody. It used to be in Cup, because when Ernie Irvin got hurt in Michigan, this is something a lot of people don't know. I was listening to another podcast and heard this, that the number 3 team, now, meanwhile, the 28 team was leading the points. The 3 team finished working on their car, went over to their rig while Robert Yates and them were at the hospital, pulled their backup car out, got it down, got it on jack stands in the garage for them just in case they were going to race. Back then you had that kind of camaraderie. Now it's
the pressure to perform is just outrageous now.
Yeah. It's all about money. It's not about the sport or having fun or enjoying each other's company. All that's gone now. It's all corporate, which has totally ruined the sport. The whole everything in Cup is terrible now. It's not fun anymore. It's not fun to watch. It's win at all costs. If you got to wreck the guy, wreck him. You guys used to have respect. They might move you, but they wouldn't wreck you. They knew it was coming back to them. Now it's, we'll just blast off in there and take them out, put them in the fence. To hell with it. I won the race. I don't care what you think. And I'm telling you, I think at the Cup level, trucks and Xfinity, all that goes away.
I do have to commend Chase Briscoe and Tyler Reddick for their professionalism at the end of the race here, the dirt race at Bristol. And how Kyle Busch just sat there and just kind of walked into it and was just given to him. Yeah, okay, kudos to that. But the main focus is the way they handled themselves at the end. And I think Tyler Reddick, being with RCR, showed the bigger end of the stick when Chase came up there and they talked about it. Instead of getting into a Ty Gibbs and Sam Mayer, backlash upside the eyebrow and kind of thing, and getting fined, they talked about it and it was like, it's all good. It's like water under the bridge. We'll move on. And this was Tyler Reddick's first chance, and he was leading, with 3 or 4 or 5 to go. And had a pretty dominant car. Yeah. And Chase Briscoe threw the little move in there and tried to do the slide job on it, and it didn't work and knocked them both out. And then Kyle Busch had to be the recipient of the win. But the respect that they had and the camaraderie between the two in the youth side of it, and not the experience, but the youth side of it, showed the respect side of that. And I my hat's off to both of them.
I agree with you, but if Tyler Reddick is behind Chase Briscoe and they're battling for a win, I think that Tyler's going to keep that in his head, and he's going to be like, yeah, I think I might move you.
Well, yeah, I don't think it's going to go away. But I think
they did a good job. The way they handled it, you're absolutely correct. The way they handled that was actually like gentlemen. You're going to cuss and yell at one another, and the next day you're friends again. So, that's cool. They handled it differently.
And sportsmanship.
We don't dabble into, the upper series too much because we are short track guys, but it was Bristol, it was dirt, and that was a situation we can bring up. We've talked about that youth and experience before. We've gone through touching on the Sam Mayer and Ty Gibbs situation just a week ago. But this was a different situation. I thought it was important to bring that up to show that there is some respect within the youth in that in that level.
Speaking of short track racing, how about the announcement that North Wilkesboro is coming back? To me, that is just freaking awesome.
We talked too much about how many tracks are closing up, and here's one that's coming back.
Well, they got some money from the federal government, and Marcus Smith, who owns Las Vegas, talked about, said he was thinking about bringing it back, and Dale Jr. and them went over and cleaned it up, and they did it for iRacing. But how cool would that be? Because I'm telling you, I'm going to talk with Ben, and I'm going to see, because it's in August, if they're running street stocks, see what it would take to get that 07 and go up there and just to make laps around a historic place like that.
Yeah.
And then they're going to run the asphalt race, they're going to tear it up, put dirt down. In October, they're going to run a big dirt series.
Late models, modifieds, and 410 sprint cars.
And street stocks and Hornets and cars like that. So it's going to be 3 full weeks of racing in North Wilkesboro. And then they're going to tear it up again and put down new asphalt. And the rumor is they're going to try to make it big and bad enough for a truck race. But I want to run on the historic old asphalt. Because, that track the front stretch goes downhill and the back stretch goes uphill. that's weird. They said gearing was really weird at that place. It was like a 650 gear, 648, something like that. I read some articles about it, but that's really awesome that's a short track that's going to come back, and it's going to go grassroots as well as maybe an upper echelon race. Because before it was nothing but upper echelon racing. It was NASCAR twice a year. But I love to see it come back, and I want to take this opportunity to say, don't sit at home. If there's a local racetrack, don't sit there on your stupid phone and watch it on Racing America. Nothing against Racing America. That's fine if you can't go. Right. But if you can go, get out there, get experience, smell the fuel, enjoy the racing. Because if you don't, the tracks are going to start closing. We're going to have nothing. And let's go, Brandon, because they want to shut us down, and we're not going to let it happen, especially here on this podcast.
Yeah, there's been some funding released by North Carolina's portion of the Federal American Rescue Plan, and it's been approved by the state legislature. There's $18 million been earmarked for North Wilkesboro Speedway for improvements designed to bring motorsports, concerts, and other entertainment options to the facility. So
it's been about 10 years too. So.
Yeah, exactly. And there's an additional allocation for that to continue. So,
and also some of the money could go to Rockingham. That's another thing they're talking about. They're actually going to run a late model race at Rockingham and try to bring it back some.
Yeah.
But the problem with both those tracks is they're in the middle of nowhere. There's no hotels. There's no venues. There's no nothing. That's one of the big reasons why Rockingham lost its day, because you drive forever in the middle of nowhere to get to Rockingham. But I would love to see both those historic tracks. I watched many a Cup race at Rockingham, several at North Wilkesboro. Would love to go up there and run my street stock on that historic surface.
Well, I can guarantee you the simulator is going to get a lot of activity from both of those tracks.
I'm sure it will.
To kind of get back into the groove of everything because they're historic. I don't think North Wilkesboro has had a sanctioned series race since '96.
Right.
So
Yeah.
this is big news, and I think I'm going to step on a limb, but I think Dale Jr. has a lot to do with it too, back behind the scenes.
Well, guess who's going to run a late model stock at North Wilkesboro? Dale Jr. He said he's going to go up and practice, and if they can get up on speed, he wants to race there because he's never raced at North Wilkesboro.
That'd be a bucket list item there.
Yeah, it would be. I mean, how cool would that be? I mean, I'm excited for it. I'm glad to see it. I was really happy to hear what they did, and you know, thank goodness that we have somebody at least taking some interest in some old tracks, because I'm going to tell you, I hate to see these tracks close. It's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
And they say that dirt race is going to be on the original clay that was run there from the beginning.
I did read that too. They were going to tear up the asphalt, and there's a dirt surface that's underneath of that. So when they take that up, they're going to run on that original or what's been underneath that pavement for a while. They're going to run that with dirt. Right. And then, Jim, do you say that they got plans to resurface it?
They're going to put it back as asphalt after the dirt race next year. That's 2023. It's scheduled to be repaved, and then they're going to try to race semi-annually there. And then there's a rumor of a truck race, which, I mean, it's too small a venue for anything more than a truck race. But even if they brought a truck race there, it would be cool.
Well, do you think there might be a possibility that the three of us could get like a video podcast in the center of North Wilkesboro and sell out the front stretch?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure that's going to happen.
Yeah, that'd work out great. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink, say no more.
Well, I'll start working on that one.
Okay.
Let's do that.
But if we go up there and race, if I can get my car up there and then we can afford to do it, I'll do a live shot for us up there. I think that would be, man, I just wouldn't know how to act. That's why I want to run Nashville. That's why I want to run tracks like North Wilkesboro, because one day they're not going to be there, and I can say, hey, I raced on that track where my heroes raced. You know, that would be awesome.
Well, we got some more to go through. Rockingham, North Wilkesboro coming up with the news, and we had Northeast Classic Pass 50, which is passes the Pro All-Star Series. The super late models up there at New Hampshire, just a little bit over a mile. The super late models with Austin McDonald coming across with the win. Brandon Barker, Joe Pastor, Justin Larson, Eddie McDonald, and there's some notables too. DJ Shaw, which is a big hot shoe up there. Ryan Kuhn, Trevor Sanborn, Ben Rowe, and Joey Polwarczyk. And I apologize if I didn't pronounce that right, but he's also known as Joey Pole. Ended up 21st back in the pack. But, man, what a great race they put on. They had modifieds, and they had all kinds of classes up there on that little long, I guess, Thompson-style mile track, long straightaways, little short, tight turns. But, man, what a show they put on.
Good show. And then when they had the nasty crash with Derek Griffith, that was pretty scary. Man, I'm glad he's okay. The car, I've seen many pictures of the car. It's destroyed.
Right.
But he walked away, and that's a good thing. And, you know, that kind of racing, man, a mile is a lot for these type of short track cars. I think a mile's a little much.
Right. Yeah.
I like half mile is about the biggest I really want to run on, to be honest with you.
Yeah, they got caught up going into a corner, and I had read that there was some issue with a tire going down. I don't know exactly who it was, but it looked like from the video that somebody kind of got in there and got squirrely and then got caught and got into Griffith, got into the fence and got upside down and, ruined it. And that was actually a heat race for him, so he didn't actually make the show. But, the 12G, Derek Griffith, when you see that car, he's always a threat anywhere he goes, but that was unfortunate for him.
Yeah, it was. That's a shame. It ruined a good car, and now, it's just about that money. Got to spend it.
Yeah, and then we go to the CRA Super Series. We'll return to Salem Speedway, which is another one of our I guess, dumpster list tracks to go to because Anderson, you got Salem, you got Slinger,
Winchester.
Winchester. These are all like high bank, like really fast bull rings, and you got drivers from all over the country. We've mentioned left and right since we got started. They're coming back for their second year in a row. This Sunday on the 24th, Ken Schrader's actually filed an entry to that 50-lap Lucas Street Stock event. And speaking of Ken Schrader,
we've heard that just recently.
Yeah, just today.
Yeah, just today or just a few hours ago, saw the video, and we touched.
What are you doing?
Can we touch that on now, or do we touch that on a little bit later?
We can talk about it real quick. I mean, he was at Five Flags testing the new SRX cars. He does their baseline setups, and it's his job to feel the car. And he was out there riding around on one of those big horsepower monsters at Five Flags Speedway. I would love to know some lap times, but can't do all that. But hopefully he gets them right, because I'm gonna tell you something. I think that's going to be a barn burner, especially with Bubba Pollard.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Bubba Pollard being in the seat and winning it, righteously.
Yep.
Even a fan vote would have been justice, but his talent proves to be where it is, and he's earned it. He's going to be with those guys, and I believe you too. I think that's going to be one heck of a race.
I think so too. It ought to be a good show. I hope so. I mean, I'm going to be out there, definitely. I'm not going to miss it. I promise you.
Well, the money it brings to the economy in this local area has got to be as equal. Not so much like the Snowball Derby, because it's so much longer. They're here for, a week, 10 days. But, this is going to be a weekend. It's going to be nationally televised on CBS on Saturday night, locally here in Pensacola. People are going to come from all over. If they don't have tickets, they'll try to be just climbing the fence, I think, to get in, because it's going to be that big. And this is big for racing here in our local community.
Well, I mean, to have it nationally televised, to put that old speedway out there a little bit more, and then teach some of these folks that have never raced here some respect for that old girl, because you better respect her, you'll end up in that fence.
Yeah.
She's a tough old girl. Has been for years. Oh, yeah.
I mean, Ted, is there any possibility that you might be, having the production kind of thing going on?
I seriously doubt it. They are very restrictive on that, as far as independents getting out there and doing anything. And you can guarantee that there's not going to be any kind of Facebook Live action going on there either.
That they know about.
Well, that CRX race coming up in June on the 18th, Saturday night, CBS in Pensacola at Five Flags Speedway. Bubba Pollard's got the seat. He's earned it. I can't wait for episode before and after that race, and we'll just have to stay tuned and hopefully get prepared for it, because I know he's going to sit in that seat and he's just going to go like he's racing every other late model driver, and just go right to the front, because this is his backyard. So they better be paying attention.
Yep.
Yeah, like I said, that would be super, super, super cool. So.
Oh, yeah. He had Doug Colby at Stafford last year, and Luke Venhouse at Slinger. So, it could be Bubba Pollard at Five Flag Speedway.
Yeah. Wouldn't that be awesome?
Well, it would be just totally incredible.
Just like the night he came from 17th to win that feature, dude, we were rocking the grandstand. Come on, Bubba.
Yeah, he knows what he's doing. There's no doubt it. He's made a name for himself, and everybody in the country knows who Bubba Pollard is, and to us in our studio, he is the only Bubba in racing.
Oh yeah, and speaking of how cool it was, you're watching that Atlanta race, and they were in Kyle Busch's car and Darrell Waltrip, and they're all talking about Bubba Pollard. They're like, yeah, well, Kyle Busch made a comment that Bubba Pollard's living his dream, riding all over the country in a super late model. And I mean, that's Darrell Waltrip, my hero, talking about our other driver, Bubba Pollard. Now, how cool that would be if you heard that.
He'd be on cloud 9.
I mean, that's awesome. I mean, really, you're in the middle of a cup race and they're talking about good old Bubba Pollard. The old boy's never going to make it to the big time. He's going to race short track racing, which is where he needs to be.
He's okay with that.
Oh, yeah. It's all going to go back to short track racing, man. Cup has gotten to the point where you have to be in the exclusive club to be a part to play. Yep. And like it was back in the 80s where you could buy a cup car and show up with it, and as long as you made the race, you were in. You know, I think it ought to go back. I think all racing ought to go back to hell with provisionals, to hell with, oh, I got a charter. It ought to go back to you show up, the first 40 cars get to race, everybody else goes home. And it doesn't make a damn who you are. If you're Kyle Busch and you don't make the race, you go home.
Speaking of Bubba Pollard, I was talking to his mom one time, and she said you had to come up with a minimum of either $4 million in cash or $4 million in sponsorship money to even talk to the people at NASCAR.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that hasn't gone down.
No, well, that is absolutely true. And this was years ago at the Green Flag Party. I talked to Stephen Nasse, and we talked about his weekend and how everything was going and how he felt, and how the NASCAR thing was all may play out in his future. And he said, "Let me tell you," he said, Joey Logano and his family sat down with Joe Gibbs and put $10 million on the table to get a ride.
Right.
And I kind of looked at him like, what? $10 million. And this was family money. I don't know, maybe outside sponsorship or something they brought with him.
Logano's had money because Joey never drove junk in his entire career.
Oh, Stanley Smith flew him down from Birmingham with the Blizzard Series.
He runs second with a car towed out a half inch.
Before the Southern Super Series kind of took over, but it was a Blizzard Series race. But Stanley Smith flew him down here, and he landed in turn 4 in the helicopter, got out, and drove the 49 Valvoline Super Late Model and finished second. The only time I've ever seen Joey Logano at Five Flag Speedway, and he finished second. Got in a helicopter and flew him back to Birmingham. But Stephen Nasse told me that his family put down $10 million to Joe Gibbs.
I don't doubt it.
And that's how he got a ride. He says it's not really so much the talent, it's just the money you're bringing with you. And that's what's attracting. So that's how that happened.
Yep.
And so some of these guys are going to stick with their late model stuff, and you don't have to deal with all that. That's just crazy to me.
Nasse and them have money in the upper hundreds of billions, from what I've heard. And Nasse said himself 5 or 6 years ago that he's racing until it's time for him to take over the family business, and then he's going to quit and go work. So they got the money. It's just, do you want to spend it and take a chance? Right. Because $10 million, I mean, honestly, that's not even a full season in a second-tier team. That's why Cup teams now have 5 or 6 different sponsors at $10 to $12 million a sponsor.
Yeah, split that responsibility up.
and that hurts the sport, too, because back then you blue number 43, black and silver number 3, the Tide-colored Chevrolet that Darrell Waltrip, they drove them all season long. You didn't have 5 or 6 different paint schemes, and as a fan, you're like, "Where's my driver at? I don't see." Now you knew where Darrell was at. You knew where Earnhardt was. You knew knew who they were, and they're not anymore. And it's I don't know.
Yeah, Tide paid for the year.
Yeah,
Goodwrench paid for the year.
Yeah, not
Kodak
anymore.
paid for the year. Right. All that. But now you've got weekly sponsors, Subway, Firehouse, this and that. Every week you've got different colors, different schemes, the same number, but.
It's just gotten so ridiculous. I mean, one sponsor can't handle an entire year for a team like that. That's just crazy.
Well, when a charter costs $10 million just so you can guarantee to start the races, and you got teams like Cody Ware Racing who suck and are going to always suck, and they have a charter. I mean, I know we're getting off kilter. Let's get back to what we know. The hell with NASCAR, because it sucks. I don't like it anymore. I don't watch it. I could care less about it. The drivers are a bunch of rich crybabies.
Yeah, I think it was the Chase Briscoe, Tyler Reddick thing that got us off path a little bit. We took a right turn when we should have just
should be turning left.
Yeah. So I mean, we can finish that off, and the season opener at Slinger Super Speedway. The ARCA Midwest Tour coming up this weekend with the Super Late Models, Pro Late Models, Modified Sportsman, Slinger Bees, and American Super Cup Series all this weekend on the 24th.
75.
Yeah. So we're going to have something to touch on with results next week, and we look forward to that ARCA race at Slinger, because Slinger's another one of those dumpster list tracks with Winchester and Anderson and Salem. Those are all big, short, high bank bull rings that we all want to be to. And
on and on.
Well, we need to go up there, though, when they have Oktoberfest. That's when Bubba Pollard was talking about that was one of the most partying racetracks that he's ever been to during Oktoberfest. He said, man, they just party all night. I was like, dude, that would be fun.
Yeah. Well, let's something just came up before we went on about this. You know, we've talked about it in previous episodes last season, especially with, you know, our local track with Hoosier and the tire situation with the Sportsman and all the local classes here that run the Hoosiers. But now I thought we might have been over that and through it, but it seems that there's continuous problems with this tire situation, Jim.
Yeah, they're having trouble getting materials. Stuff comes from China, and I don't understand why we can't make our own stuff here in America and stop buying stuff from overseas. We quit putting up with this crap. But it's hurting all short track racing. I mean, even our tires are limited supply, and a lot of racetracks are talking about cutting their schedules. They're talking about running old race tires, you know, running an old set, which we did last year, and I happened to win that race, and I finished second in the second one. So, you know, I'm good on old tires. It don't bother me, but there's a lot of people that don't want to race on old tires. My personal opinion is, why don't we gather up all the old tires, let the modifieds and outlaw stocks and the trucks run on the new tires, give us the used ones, and let us soak a little bit. Sell a certain type of soak the Bryan family sells. This is all you can use. If we detect anything else, we're going to throw you out. But something that makes the old tires run a little cooler, make them last a little longer, not necessarily make them softer, just make them live longer. That's the key to doing this if we're going to go on old tires. But you know what's going to happen. This is the worry I have. Somebody's going to pop a tire, hit the fence, and they're going to sue the racetrack because they didn't have tires supplied. Any good attorney is going to take that case, and that's going to help hurt short track racing also. I don't know a total solution other than me and us running used tires and let them soak them. And it just frustrates the crap out of me. There's no reason why we're short on stuff. We should have it here in America. We're Americans. We can make our own, you know, it's like they talk about a food shortage coming. Why in the hell don't we have our farmers farming? We got farmers that are paid to sit and do nothing. No, get them farming right now. Do it now. Don't wait. Get it done now. Same thing with tires. I mean, what's going to happen when they run out of materials for street tires? We're going to be walking. I mean, I'm in not to bring politics into this, but I'm going to really quick. Liberals hate racing. They hate any kind of sport that anybody competes in. They hate it. They've always hated it. They've always wanted to shut it down. And this is one way that they're doing it because they're limiting the supply of materials. So once that happens, racetracks don't have tires. They don't have tires. They don't have cars. No racing. The track closes. My personal opinion, and not represented anybody else sitting in the room with me, but this is how I feel about things. And this is how, because I pay attention to a lot of this stuff. And a lot of manufacturers like Hoosier went up like 15% on their race car tires. I mean, you're killing the short track guy with the fuel shortage, the fuel problems. It's killing us too, because I mean, it's $13, $14 a gallon if you run race fuel. I run pump aviation fuel, but it's almost $6 a gallon now. Yep. So that hurts me also. And guys like me who work hard, race to have fun, are the ones that get hurt the most. Guys with money, it don't really affect them. They're going to spend the money. They're going to do what they got to do. And guys like me are what short track racing is about. Guys that work out of a little shop, get things done, get on the racetrack, race, have a shot at winning, sit back with a beer with his friends and laugh when it's over with and say, man, what a great time we had. And I didn't win every year I raced. I spent many a year where I didn't even finish in the top 5, but I was having a blast. It was so much fun getting on the racetrack. But like I said, this stuff's got to stop. There just comes a time when we got to say, you know what? Hey, America, we need to grow rubber tree plants and figure out how to do it here. If we have to make a facility that's certain type of climate or whatever, do it here. To heck with the Chinese. They're going to screw us over anyway, so what's the difference? Quit buying stuff from Russia, quit buying stuff from China, buy it right here in America. Let's get back to made in America again.
Yeah, they don't know anything about racing anyway, so why can't we have the tires made here and have, you know, a sufficient supply to not interrupt the series and the sport that we're loving and we're talking about.
Exactly. I mean, we could do it, but it's a matter of getting people to do it. See, when things get cheaper to make overseas, because labor over there is nothing. You know, especially in China, because you got these little kids that build. And that's why I'll never wear a Nike product a day in my life, because they got little kids building Nike shoes and all that crap over there. And they're slave labor. They work them 12 hours a day in unpoured of terrible conditions. And I don't buy nothing from China. I try not to. But when we're getting stuff from them that's sitting in ships and nothing's getting delivered, that's part of the problem. And they can easily go, you know what, we're not going to ship any of that to the USA for 6 months because of COVID, which is all an excuse.
Well, that's just getting back to short track racing, and you know, hopefully all that stuff works itself out. And we got by last year with the shortage, and hopefully something comes out about it this year. If it gets worse, and maybe they'll make an alternative solution. Maybe it goes back to soaking from, you know, a legal compound for everybody because of that.
Yeah, you could do it. You just have to use a certain type. This is all you can use, and this is the chemical breakdown. And if we scoop your tire and find something else, we're going to throw you out.
Exactly.
And, you know, it's a great sport. We just need some tires, and we need to be able to go racing. And promoters need to, my personal opinion, stop worrying about making money off of tires right now. Give the guy a discount as much as you possibly can. Break even if you have to get the racers out of it. Because with no racers, there's no show. Right. So you promoters aren't going to make any money if there's nobody sitting in the grandstands watching cars go around, or people showing up with race cars paying your pit passes. Because I know a lot of nights at racetracks, the pit covers everything because it's $30 a head. You know, and a guy like me, $30 a head, and then fuel goes up, and the fuel in my truck goes up, and then the street tires to get it there go up, and everything goes up. It gets to the point where I have to just throw my hands up and say, you know, I can't do this anymore.
Right.
And, you know,
at some point, you're done. You just can't afford it. It gets too frustrating to even attempt it anymore.
Yeah, we lose our sport. So I think there's ways around this, ways to fix it, but, you know, until we get somebody it's politically ready to make America great again, I will say.
Yeah.
And then, you know, I think things will get better. Because, I mean, under that certain administration, everybody had expendable money. Racing was coming back. Short track racing was coming back with a vengeance because we all had extra money. Then this new idiot gets in there and he shuts everything down. When the economy starts failing, nobody has extra money to go racing, so you can't afford it.
All right.
And it's this tires and everything else. But main thing is we just need to get back to making some tires that we can afford to race on and that everybody can go do what they love to do.
Right, which is short track racing. And that's what we're talking about. And, you know, we're going to look forward to the CRA Super Series returning to Salem for the second year in a row with Ken Schrader up there. And we appreciate, and hats off to SRX to come down and kind of dial in that SRX Series car for Five Flag Speedway in the SRX Series race in June on the 18th. You guys, if you haven't got your tickets, see if you can get them now. I don't know if they have any more left, but see how you can get in to watch that. And the season opener at Slinger Super Speedway with the ARCA Midwest Tour. And I'm sure we're going to be talking about Ty Majeski and, you know, all those guys up there. Unfortunately, Rich Pickle's not going to be in the mix, but, you know, we miss him. We've talked about him a lot, but, you know, the Derby last year was his finale and didn't kind of pan out the way we had hoped and maybe expected. But, you know, that ARCA Midwest Tour up there is going to be really good at Slinger, and we'll get together with everything caught up next Wednesday.
Bring it to you,
guys. It's another Wednesday wrap, and I appreciate you getting in the studio and we talk about what we can with short track racing, and it's always a pleasure to see you guys and laugh and goof off and talk short track racing to our fans.
Right? That's it, and always. Let's go, Brandon.
Oh, my God. Let's go, Brandon.
Have a good evening, everybody.
Thank you all for listening. You know, your support is our motivation, and we will talk to you next Wednesday.
Amen.
Good night, everybody.